I'm sitting here working on my YouTube account, and I was going through the process of reviewing my videos, and I thought to myself, like, wow, I get now why I'm so hesitant to touch on things that I used to do, and try to revive it. And not because I'm looking back at it, but I see the potential in what I could do with the things that I've experienced in my past, creatively and in life, right? Anyway, so in that process, I started to say to myself, when you were doing those things, you were really at the lowest points of your life and nobody knew it. And I think that is where I hesitate now, because I am not at the lowest point of my life. I am probably at the best peak I have seen in my 38 years, mentally, spiritually, everywhere across the board. I see that now. So when it comes to creating, touching some of those old things, I think I got triggered when it came time to do it, because it was like, but when I did it before, I was so fucked up. Like, that was with a mask on. I know in my mind, looking back at that, I did that with a mask on. So now this version of me is like, I don't even know, like, how do you go back to doing that if that's not where you are? And I think, today I'm coming to terms with the point of saying, yo, that's not you, but you did it without even knowing, one, right? You were going through that darkest phase or whatever, but you still were able to produce that. So what can you produce with the veil off now? Like, what can you produce with your mask off now? That's where I'm at with it. So trying to come to terms with, I want to do some of the stuff I used to do, but on this level, right? And not having a mask on. Like, I don't know what that looked like. And I feel like that's where I'm hesitant. That's where I'm getting some resistance coming from myself. It's like, what are you stepping into? And what does that look like now with this mind? Because it was cloudy then. And looking at it now, I'm like, wow, that was really dope. Like, wait a minute. Yeah, you're kind of good. Right? So, like, wait, if I could do that, I don't know. So, yeah, I feel resistance in that process. And what I'm doing is allowing myself the space to actually process that, and not just jumping up and saying, well, you're healed now, so you could do it. And it's like, nah, I could, but I feel triggered. I have to acknowledge that I'm triggered, because I know that, like I said, I had that mask on at that point. This time it's mask off. I'm not coming to pretend for nobody, right? So now, how do I want to show up? And that is where I'm at. And that's where the present day, I got the book in front of me, The Power of Now, Eckhart. I ain't gonna, I'm always chopping somebody's name out. Y'all Google it, The Power of Now, right? But I'm about to get busy and get my mind more present. I am present, not that I'm not, but I need to get in tune with creative present me. My mind is present, but now when it comes to that blank canvas and being able to create, what does that look like? I've been drawn to bright colors and positive music. I'm listening to Chris Brown right now. I'm Beyonce, Drake, that get up and move music. I'm in that zone, but I still have to sort out what this version of me would like to step out into. I have every option, and sometimes having too many options can be overwhelming. But I have to manage that. Why? Because I manifested this bag. Like, I did this. The bag of goodies that I have, all of the gifts, all of the things I have to choose from, I don't want to take for granted. I'm grateful for. So now I was like, all right, if this is chess, how do you want to play this out? And that's where I'm at with it. So I'm respecting my pause. And that was the last video I posted, my shorts. I'm, recycling my material, repurposing it. Because it all has value, right? So now putting it on other platforms so it can breathe there and say, you know what, people may need to hear it there. So I can grow my audience across the board. But anyway, so that was a little business advice. But peek is in there. But yeah, so that's currently where I'm at. Staying present, allowing myself to feel triggered, and then digging into it, not running from it. And maybe, and I the influencers that I pay attention to are such a great help to me, because it's like every time I may tap back into what's going on in the world, I'm hearing them yelling at me, but not in a bad way, in a way that's like, yo, get up. Like, what you doing? Where you at? And I hear it, but I'm such in a creative mode. I cannot scroll while I'm there. Like, I don't want nobody influencing what I'm about to do. It has to come from me. It has to be 100% Kadira, not even Sunny, not even Savage. It has to be Kadira, right? And that requires study, and that does require to disconnect for a second. It doesn't mean I'm not present. It just means I'm choosing how I'm going to show up, and that has to be by divine timing, right? And I think every creative needs to allow themselves to have that space to say, yo, I'm in creative mode. And that does mean I have to disconnect for a second. And I'm not missing nothing. Because when I tap back in, I'm looking at chaos. And it's upsetting me. But now I have to take what I am seeing and saying, you know what? How can we transmute this and make it something from it? Because I didn't tap back into Instagram to see this, abortion thing just to be like, oh, God don't want me in my feelings. And that's where I always reconnect to God and source and say, I didn't see that for me to be upset. I saw it to use it. So now what, right? So that's where I'm at with it. And I think that if you hear this, stay present. If you are creative, if you anything, it don't matter. If you're trying to create something, maybe you're trying to create your business right now and you feel like, I'm in the planning phase or I'm stuck at whatever it is, where you at. Stay present. Enjoy the process of where you are now. Allow people to misinterpret your process too, because people don't know what's happening on the back end. Sometimes they assume that you tapped out because you disconnect. But I really feel like it's a better investment of my energy to put what I want to do into what I want to do and not watching everybody else do it. Right. So, and when it's time to tap back in, you do that or keep a balance, at least so you know how to make your own flow of it. I can't do what everybody else does as far as their online presence. And I don't have that expectation of myself, but I do want to create a level of discipline within myself so that I can show up, and then I feel like it'll pour on to my other endeavors as I grow as a person, as I learn to do that for myself. Just being consistent with me first. Like, I don't want to be consistent to an algorithm, an outside system. I want to be consistent with me. I want to build routines with me. And then it will overlap into my business and my relationships. And, it has to start with me. And that's my present moment, the power of now. So, that's probably what I'm going to call this, especially because I just got a fresh copy. And shout out to, this is not my first time reading this book. This is the end, but I'm going to just say this. When I first got this book, I was working in a shelter and one of my clients came up to me and said, yo, you need to order this book. And I was like, well, why? What's this book? And he was like, yo, I feel like it's you. Like, this is how you talk to us. And I was like, what? I said, what book? Who stole me? Like, it can't be no book or whatever. But he was like, no, but this is the mindset that you get us in. So if you read it, he said, I know it's just going to change your life. And I was like, okay. And shout out to him. I'm definitely not going to say his name, but shout out to him. Who put me onto this book. And when I ordered it, I ordered 2 copies. I ordered one for him and one for me. I wasn't supposed to do that. I hope I don't get in trouble. I don't work for them no more. Anyway, but, he needed the book too. And that's why he was telling me to order it. So I got, one for me, one for him at that time. And the book did change my life. But I think it's time to refresh my memory about staying present. Because let me correct my grammar. I myself had got caught up in cycles. Because I'm human, it doesn't matter how much you inspire people. We all are living our own daily lives. And I got caught up in a cycle with myself. So I want to refresh my memory with the power of now. I want to stay present. And I want other people to do that for themselves. Right. Because you're growing regardless of what you came from or what you're trying to do right now. It's a process of change and it might be a little difficult. Or it might be inspiring. However you're taking it, you still need these principles to actually move forward and be successful. And that's what I'm trying to do myself. This is my process. This is me versus me. And I'm documenting it. Because why not? Right? All right. That's it. That's all.